Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about something which I'm really excited for, because this is actually something I've savoured for the marathon. It's something which I've gone, right, I'm going to actually wait to listen to it for the first time for this marathon series, for this exact massive project. So this is something I've been waiting to listen to for ages. This is The Collateral of Ivanhoe by William, I believe his last name is Corliss. If you were watching my series for a certain period of time, you are going to learn that I'm not very good with names, particularly last names. So sorry if I get your last name wrong. This is somebody who has a big name in the Doctor Who community, mainly because of his YouTube channel, Mr. TARDIS Reviews, which is a massive Doctor Who themed review series. He's been doing videos ever since 2010 with Victory of the Daleks, which is actually I actually watched that when it came out, when he uploaded it around the time. So I've been watching his stuff since the beginning. So I've been a massive fan of his work. He does a lot of Doctor Who reviews. One of the things that he does, which I really like, is his Daleksember, the Cybersember. So that's really, he's a really big name. He does some really great videos. He goes stupidly into depth, and it's so interesting. Two of my favourite videos on YouTube are actually made by him, which are these two really in-depths into the directing and how the camera works in Dalek and in Heaven Sent. Those two videos, especially when he I think it's in Dalek, when he gets the director to actually get in and talk about it. That is just so cool. But I think he just seems like a really standout guy. I also really like his review of Asylum of the Daleks. I remember watching that episode and thinking all these things, and then watching his review, the first one he did when it came up, I remember thinking oh my god, we literally said the exact same things. And then he redid it for his Dalek Asylum series and Daleksember, and it was going more into depth, more focused into his issues, and it's just yeah, totally agree. So yeah, that one really sticks out in my mind. And the one he did when the episode aired for the next episode in the marathon, which we'll talk about later, but I really like that video as well. So he's really really big name in terms of the fan base. I don't know if you consider him a massive a famous an internet celebrity. I don't know the terminology, but he's big in the Doctor Who fan base. If you watch Doctor Who, you're most likely going to know who Mr. TARDIS is. That's essentially he's easily the biggest Doctor Who reviewer out there. And so one day, I presume, just maybe out of boredom, maybe some people have been taunted, because it's this thing where it's when you review something, or if you're a critic or something, you get that whole thing where it's yeah, you can criticize, but can you actually do it? Can you could you put this all together, and could you do even a job, at least a decent job? Because it's one thing to critique, a completely different thing to actually create. So what he did was he made his audio drama in the style of a table read, which is when you get the writers and directors and you get all the cast and crew to basically just read out the script. Usually the writer reads the details of it, whereas the actors actually read their lines. And essentially what that does is basically get everyone up to speed. And he basically wrote it as if it was a pitch to actually be part of Doctor Who. He didn't want to use any main villains or anything. He basically wrote this as if he was actually going to go into the office of the BBC and be right, I'm a new writer. here is my idea, here's what I've got. So that is really cool. He actually like put a lot of focus on like the realism of writing this. And essentially then he put it all together and he got a cast to try and like get this thing going. I guess he didn't realize how big he was, because I remember at one point he did say that he was surprised at how big like the cast, like people were like coming in to do auditions for him. I actually did an audition for the Jadoon in this. I mean, I'm gonna guess he didn't hear, because apparently he had so many people like giving him requests, giving him their auditions. So I'm gonna guess he hasn't heard mine, which was probably for the best, because it was terrible. Oh well, you can't win them all. Maybe next time if he does another one, I really want to like get into fan production. Anyway, I'm going way off topic here. So Collateral of Ivanhoe is essentially that. It's a table. It's very strange, because it's like we never talk to Doctor Who like this, where it's like you have a narrator, but it's very focused, and the dialogue mainly then comes from like different actors and stuff. Now, before I actually get like into the video, into like the likes and the dislikes and into the actual story, when I do these videos, especially ones that talk about ones that are not TV stories, like audio dramas and books and all that, a lot of people ask me, is it immersive? Can I listen to this? Can I read this? Can I watch this? And picture myself watching the TV series. Have it in that style, with that set production and that cast, all of that. This one, unlike the novels where it's like yes, but like certain elements not, this is completely like 100% yes. The cast do it varies, but the cast do a very good job at trying to emulate the TV series, especially our main four. The music, it actually has the Doctor Who theme. It's really strange how a fan production has the Doctor Who theme and the audiobooks, the official audiobooks, do not. That really is weird. The music by Thomas Field in this story is supposed to emulate Sagan Akinola, so you really get those visuals, that atmosphere in your mind. At some point, I don't know if you can hear 13, but you do hear Me and My Mates, which William has stated on like numerous occasions. It's one of his favourite Doctor Who tracks. So, like, I remember going into this when I was about to listen to this, or when I was announced to go in. I bet you any money. I said that to myself. It's really weird. I bet it has Me and My Mates. So it does have the sound. It does have a cast that's really trying to emulate the cast of the show, and it has the Doctor Who theme. And it's in the style of a table read. So when you're listening to this, you really get the feeling of series 11, 12, and 13. You really get the TV aesthetic, which I think is really what he wanted. That was probably like the main goal. I don't know if that's the main goal, but that was one of the main. I'm guessing that's definitely one of the main goals. So 100%, this is very something which you can listen to and really get into the 13th Doctor mood. So anyway, let's get into the story at hand. Let's talk about a little bit of the story. Our characters arrive in a planet of the distant future. They land, I think it's on a moon. The Doctor does state at one point it's illegal to go onto the planet. So they have to like land on the moon and then like transport to the planet. And it's here where we meet a Jadoon. It's really strange. I remember him talking about like Jadoon, and like there was casts for Jadoon to do the Jadoon voice. There's only really one scene with a Jadoon. It's very strange. But anyway. And essentially they go into this futuristic planet where essentially capitalism rules. Essentially everybody who, like, capitalism basically destroyed Earth. And so a lot of people just like kicked all the capitalists out, and they started to like live in a capitalist free environment. However, here, actually I might have gotten that mixed up. It might have been, but here the capitalism element is gone. I doubt that because the plot doesn't make any sense otherwise. And like the first half of the story, we get a lot of world building. We get introduced to a lot of side characters. I say a lot, mainly three, but then like an extra one who's like lesser to digress. And at the moment, like what I really like about this story is that for the first half, it's mainly just like little elements that like build up. You see these scenes where it's like a character, this woman with the robotic arm. She gets like stood up at the Jadoon security, and she's asked to like remove her hand. You see another character, Sam, getting changed quickly to go to work, and where he goes to the base to the bank, the Ivanhoe bank. But before that, the Doctor actually takes our crew to a futuristic version of football. I will admit, I don't like football. I'm not a football fan. But that line where the 13th Doctor's just like, people got bored of the usual game, so they've invented a new like elements to the game of football where like you have this ball that has a number, and every time the ball is passed it counts down. When it hits 0, you kick it into the goalkeeper grabs it and it just explodes. And everybody starts cheering. I really like as well, which is something which I like catches me like off guard when it comes to like football. It's like Graham has no idea what's going on. Like, was that a goal? Did they just kill the referee? But everybody starts cheering, and one of the cast, I think it was Yaz, is like, I don't think it really matters in this version of football whether like it's a goal or not. They're just excited to see like a blast of action. And so Graham just like joins in the cheering. That's just so Graham. That's so Graham. So yeah, we'll talk about the cast in a sec. But essentially when the plot really begins is essentially the Doctor takes them to Ivanhoe, this bank, because they're trying to get like credits and something. When all of a sudden there's a bank robbery with three characters leading the heist essentially. Cash, played by Austin Prober, Jem, played by Hunter Graham, and the leader Jules, played by Ali E. Tori. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Again, I really do apologise. And they hold up our characters. Cash takes Graham as a prisoner, as a hostage, as the police and these knights try to get into the bank to try and stop them. Whereas Jules, who actually knows the Doctor, who actually remembers a previous incarnation and knows that she's a Time Lord and knows it can change her face, but is like absolutely disgusted by the fact that the Doctor doesn't remember her, takes her and Yaz as prisoner to go down into the bank and use their help to try and break into the vaults. And that's essentially the main plot. So let's actually talk about the cast first. The new supporting characters, Jules, Jem, Cash, and as well I've got to mention Sam, who works at the bank, who's taken hostage with the Doctor and Yaz down to help, played by Harry Dunkley. They're all like very good because of the way this story is produced, because this was made in lockdown. Nobody was like able to like meet up and stuff and make sure about equipment and stuff. The quality and sound is varied. You will get somebody who has like a clear vocal system and you can like their voice comes out clear, and then you'll get others where it sounds like they're talking on the phone. That might bug a lot of people, and I do understand that. However, because of the situation, because of all this, the way this is produced, I understand why that has happened. Because some of them, I don't know like the history of these actors, but they vary in terms of quality. I think the least, I don't know like talents, if they're like professionally or if they're just amateurs who just like really like got into the roles. But I think the weakest in terms of a performance here is the guy that plays Jem, Hunter Graham. You can kind of hear, I don't know if you think he's a professional or not, but you can kind of hear it on him. But he does give this kind of young character with this kind of Americanish accent. I believe as well, I can't remember, but I think I also auditioned for Jem, and that was really, really terrible. That was really bad. I hope that these auditions of mine bury to the depths of hell. And Jewel is such an interesting character, especially when we delve into the rest of the story and her relationship with the Doctor, and just like her situation and into this world. But before we get into that, let's talk about the main four. Let's talk about, like, Yaz, played by Shannon Rockcroft, and Ryan, played by Duan Gooden, I believe that's how it's pronounced. I don't think they sound like their TV counterparts. I don't think, maybe, I don't know if they're trying to emulate or they're doing their own thing, but I don't think they sound particularly like Toshin Coyle and Mandip Gill. However, I think especially for Ryan's actor, they do a great job at imbuing the personality of the characters that really like fits the story anyway, and really gives you an impression. Like, you can feel that they're not the original actors. You can feel like these are definitely not the same actors, but you don't really like bother too much, and they all do a great job. Now, the main two that, like, the standout here, I think it is unfair because I know these people in terms of their work, and they are professionals. Wendy Abrahams plays the 13th Doctor. She's a famous impersonator. She's done a lot of impersonations and stuff. Her Jodie Whittaker impression is really spotless. If it wasn't for the fact that, like, she's clearly recording it on a low quality, like, recorder, I don't think you could tell it was not Jodie Whittaker. Like, I personally, like, I was, like, absolutely blown away by her performance in this. She really nails down the quirks of the character. I think there's some bits where maybe in the dialogue purely it might have not sound like Jodie Whittaker. However, Wendy's performance is so spot on. I got some notes here, because she's also, after this, she also went on to play the 13th Doctor again in another fan-made audio production, Magtor Loop, which is a overtone audio production, where she worked across the Craftnant Doctor. Now, I haven't seen that, and I must be honest, I'm not going to plan on tackling that in the marathon. But I know, like, she does go on to play other, like, 13th Doctor in other audio productions and audio stuff. There's also a video of her where she's just basically doing her impression, like, doing lines from the show. And she's just absolutely amazing. But in terms of a standout, in terms of, like, easily, like, no offense to any of the other cast members, and again, like I said, like, these two are definitely professionals, so I do, like, understand how, like, might steal the show from all the other cast. But, like, by far, easily the standout is Jonathan Carley as Graham, who, okay, like, not only, like, you can kind of tell if you just purely listen on his voice that it's not Bradley Walsh, and it is kind of an impersonation, but he gets such the rhythm, he gets such the quirks of Bradley Walsh's voice so down that, like, you can tell it's an impersonation, but, like, after a while, after 3 seconds, you get really used to it, and it really just suits Brad. Like, it just, some bits, especially in, like, I think as well, William writing, you can tell he has a massive love for Graham, because there's some of the dialogue and some of the scenes, like I said, with the football is a great bit, and there's so much great humour with Graham, especially when he gets captured with by Cash. And there's a bit where he's telling Ryan to like, don't worry, just wait for the doctor and stuff. And then William narrates that's like, Graham isn't so confident, and you can hear that in Jonathan Carley's voice. But Jonathan Carley also has a history in Doctor Who fan-made productions, as well as, well, let's get on. He had previously, before this, voiced the War Doctor as well as the 12th Doctor in the Doctor Who lockdown special, The Doctor Assembles. I might tackle after the marathon. I haven't decided yet. He also played the 3rd Doctor in a fan-made animated production of Lost in the Dark Dimension, a adaptation of the unmade 30th anniversary. Is it 30th or the 40th anniversary? 40th. The 40th anniversary special. I can't remember, but it wasn't the specials. He also played a character in the Doctor Who fan-made production, Tailored Visions. However, it's what he did after playing Bradley Walsh's Graham in this that really sets him apart in this, because he actually went on to voice the War Doctor officially in Big Finish's audio dramas The War Doctor Begins. That is so cool. That is so cool. He'll also voice characters in the Babel Colour productions, the Timeless Doctor. So that's like a lot of work on the narrative side of stuff. So let's actually the character stuff. So let's actually get onto like the narrative as a whole. Now, what I think what really struggles here is the main actual end goal of our villains here, the jailbrokers, because like it's clearly like they're trying to like break into the vault and stuff like that, and like their motivations and like the elements of the story, which is like this shows them they're pushing into the stuff. We learn that Julie had met the Doctor. It's heavily hinted at that it was the 4th Doctor, because she mentions I think it was a hat and a scarf. She definitely mentions a scarf. And you get this kind of abandonment feeling where it's like she fought the Doctor, sent her to Stormcage, the prison which River Song is known from like the River Song storyline, and basically the Doctor just went on traveling as normal as we know. But Jules, she got locked in Stormcage in a very harsh environment for 20 years, and when she came out, she was basically penniless, and so she basically convinced Jem character to team up, as well as Cash, to team up to try and rob this bank. And she does this by basically convincing them that they're essentially freedom fighters. She's going to steal from the bank, publicly like doing it, so as well as leaking out information, data, going out and telling everybody essentially all the shady stuff that this bank does, like their deals with corporations, the military, like taking away public funding, not paying their staff as much as they should. You know, all like the shady business stuff. And I think if the story left it like that, these would be really great and compelling villains, especially like how the Doctor like basically backfires their logic. But one thing I will criticize the story for is the whole, they also like we'll get paid in advance, as well as this they've been teasing throughout the story. There's something more to the plan, because what the story does, which is a critique of the story, like, and I was like, huh? The story makes it like at the start when they go break into the bank. It's like the Doctor makes a big deal that essentially in the future, banknotes have become null and void. Physical banknotes basically mean nothing. And so data, memory, and it also that leads into a really great line where the Doctor, which again sounds really 13, where the Doctor's like, there is this lie that like this money, all this data is real, and it's kept going, and it's made like people so much wealthier, so much more, like their lives are being thrived upon on this system which only relies on like everyone believing the same lie, that their money, their current, like their what's in their bank account is real. Because when you like use like your bank card and stuff, the money doesn't actually physically exist. It's just part of data, and essentially they're going to break into this bank and create corrupt the data so that it says in their bank details like they've got like all the money in the world. They're basically a billionaire overnight. That's essentially a plan. And as well as the whole freedom fighters stuff, I really enjoyed it. I really liked that. But they build up that there's something else that the team is trying to get to. At least Jules is trying to get to. And we basically learn that apart from everything, apart from the football, is all digital money. But the football is actually old school. They actually still use currency. So this bank leads straight underneath the stadium to which the Doctor, Graham, Yaz and Ryan were at the start of the story, and essentially going to break in to get real physical money. What? I didn't quite understood that. It might make sense on like a few listens, but on my first listen, which is the only listen I've had for this marathon, like that didn't really quite make much sense. I will admit that plot twist didn't really make much sense. However, there's another twist I really, really do like here, and shows like William's great writing in here, because throughout the story, at least the Doctor and Yaz's, they also are with a character, Sam, as I said, played by Harry Dunkley, who is this very soft-spoken, very like, he's just like a normal guy. He's just your average like bloke who just works there and is just caught up in all this. And he gets like treated pretty harshly, and the Doctor kind of spots something about it, and Yaz also kind of like feels like there's something wrong here. And okay, spoiler warning, I'm sorry, like, but I'll put it like a warning. Hello, don't watch this bit. Like, go watch it, go listen to it. You know, it's free on YouTube, just go listen to it. But the twist, this really cool twist, which really like connects it all, is that we learn that Sam has two jobs. Like nothing like special. He just like two jobs. He's just a struggling like somebody who works there because he's struggling to pay his bills. He's just an average man. Why is that such a big deal? Why am I making such a big fuss about it? Because it clicks with the Doctor that their whole idea about them being freedom fighters, that they're doing it for the people, they're not really, because they treat Sam aggressively. Like they didn't even consider just like the workers there, people who are just working under the system, working underneath, just to trying to get like their lives sorted and like trying to get like their lives like in order, just trying to like exist. The big banks aren't really going to care that like that these people have taken down one bank out of their thousands, but they will punish the workers. They will punish, like, oh, sorry, we have to leave people go. We have to let people go. And those are the people that will really suffer from all this. And from Jem's point of view, which I really, like, Jem's, this is where Jem becomes like really interesting character here, because he generally believed that he was doing this for the people. He generally thought that he was doing this so that they can, like, stop the big evil corporations from taking advantage from people. But then it kind of clicks. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right, Doctor. We're doing this. I mean, like, we're also kind of being a part of the problem in the situation. We will basically make normal people, especially people like Sam, who work here, they're just going to make their lives more miserable so that we can also benefit, just like the evil guys who own all of these corporations, like the banks, like Ivanhoe. But Jules, her deal becomes a little bit more, she is more right, I want to basically try and start a new life. I want all this money to start a new life, but I don't really care about like who gets hurt, who gets involved, who might get injured along the way. I just want a fresh start away. Like I don't care about anyone else. I just want my own thing. What I really like about this twist is like it's not really a twist. It's more like a big reveal in terms of like the characters and stuff. What I really like about the story is that in this there's a twist that really like changes the status quo of the story. Jen changes his opinion essentially, even though he still like carries on. He changes. He sees that he's not really the good guy in the story, and though Jewel is like the bad guy, she becomes more clearly the bad guy, but also because she's still standing by that whole like her life has been hell since the doctor had taken her life and stuff. Like she does this in a struggle, but it's gone to a point where like she's constantly fighting, she's constantly like beating the system. She explains at one point in Storm Cage her sentence was originally 5 years and she was so close to getting out. However, because the prison was so harsh, essentially they needed a gang needed to like make like a violent attack, like someone was attacking them, and just Jewel just happened to be like in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then she basically got attacked, and that's how she lost her arm, and she's got a robotic arm, and she luckily she fighted, and she's a great fighter. She easily beated the rest of other inmates. However, it grew her sentence to an extra 15 years, which like completely ruined her life. And especially in Storm Cage, this is one of the, especially in Doctor Who canon, it's probably one of the most aggressive prisons. It, like, you still empathize with her, but you really get the sense that what she's doing isn't right. She isn't sticking it up to the man. She's essentially changing the hands of the problem from them to her, and that is just like that's really great. That's really great. It also leads then this scene also leads into a really great action scene. I mean, an action scene like you can hear the William describes like the action and you know it's all that. I forgot to mention as well the story like. He does a great job of like adding like sound effects and cues. So like when like he talks about how like a football got kicked to Jewel, like you hear like the sound effect, an explosion, the boom, and it's like a telephone goes off. You hear the ringtones and stuff. Really like atmospheric and really like sets you in the mindset. Absolutely love. We should do more of these like table read audio dramas. I don't know if Big Finish have ever done anything like this, but they really should. And especially like I do really dig like the narration being part of it, but like it's like really specific. It's really about like just like a character picked it up, and though like there are like a lot of details, really like just overall just really like really well produced. Leads into a great action scene where like the Doctor uses the footballs which count down to zero and explode, which again pays off the world building at the start of the story, so it's all like really great writing here, and then like that's mainly like the end of the narrative, especially for the Doctor and Yaz's point of view. Up above, Graham, like I said, gets really great scenes. We do learn like more world building up here. Like Ryan sees that there are these like knights that are basically bodyguards, and he's like, yes, come on, and Graham is like, come on, like now you're in for it. But then the knights don't do anything because they can't attack people if they have hostages in work environments, because of a previous occasion where these knights got involved. They're like robot knights, sort of. We'll talk about that in a bit. There's like an old woman who got injured because of them in a hostage situation, and she sued the company and she got millions. So like now the company changes like how they work so that they just don't attack at all. Now, they're kind of robot knights. We don't actually learn this. We do, like, I remember there's a scene where there's a character with the knight and he's like clearly sweating. Or maybe that was like one of the footballers. I can't remember. And one of these knights who doesn't have any of these markings goes up to Cash, and when like the situation's over, when Graham gets out of his release and the knight can actually intervene, it grabs onto Cass, and then it like kind of forms around him like an Iron Man suit, and then these markings kind of appear as Graham and Ryan look around and realizes that most of these have like markings on them, and essentially like Cass is trapped in the suit. I don't know like what really the implications are, but it's just a really cool imagery. And it's really also terrifying that like you just see like a man like just trapped in the suit of armor like that. It's just it just freaks me out. So that's basically like the end of the story. The Doctor like gets away, distracts everybody, as like Ivanhoe, starts like crumbling essentially around them. However, as a banknote falls onto her face, she gets an incredible idea, and she essentially hacks the systems, and you get these like really bittersweet endings, like really sweet endings. Jules and Jem basically like Jules goes like through like this really depressive mindset as Jem like slowly hits in. It's like, right, they're gonna go back to Storm Cage. However, they suddenly get a message that they're not. They're going to a different prison, which is more of a rehabilitation, and they will basically get a support system in place where they can basically start living normal lives. And Jules starts tearing up. This is really sweet. As well as Sam, he goes home and he gets a message after attending to his two daughters that he's suddenly got like billions of like currency. I can't remember what the currency is in this world, in his bank, and he starts like tearing up in joy of it all as the Doctor basically explains what she did to the rest of the team, and they leave, and that is the Collateral of Ivanhoe. Overall, this was really damn good. Maybe the production quality varies and it can be a little bit distracting. Again, can't really hold that to really anybody. The situation just called upon, and again, it's a fan-made production. The plot twist about the money, I didn't really make much sense of it. Maybe it did make sense, and I'm too dumb to click. I don't know, but like I didn't really see like what was the big deal, especially like the Doctor makes it clear like this money is only really like still only valuable to only to football, so they can only really use that money for football essentially. But anyway, apart from that, the story is really good. The characters are very well versed in interest. Just like Series 11 stories, the world building is phenomenal. Reminds me a lot of the pseudo-historicals from the 13th Doctor, where the story is just about exploring the world as it is about the actual narrative of the story. Each actor does a very good job, especially for a fan-made production, especially the main two of Wendy Abrahams and Jonathan Carley. There's just so much here to love. There's just so much here to love. And what's really great about this story is that it's free. You can listen to it right now on YouTube. It's an hour and a half long, which might put some people off. However, as a Doctor Who fan, highly recommended. Just go listen to it. Go and support the fans, and then go support Doctor Who, because it's a fan-made production. Just really great time. Highly enjoyed it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, 10 out of 10. It's probably one of the best 13th Doctor stories that we've talked about. It's up there. Definitely in the top 5 at least. But anyway, that is the Sorry, I got the title. The title is just blanked out of my head. That's really embarrassing. The Collateral of Ivanhoe. There we go. The Collateral of Ivanhoe. So join me next time when all the mysteries of Series 12 start building up, start tying together, as the Doctor takes her companions to see Mary Shelley as one of the greatest horror writers of our time, of all time. Basically, her work starts to essentially leak out into the history books, and she comes face to face with one of the Doctor's greatest foes. So join me next time for the haunting of Vala Diodati, and I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-ra!